Setsuna?
Analyzing combat prowess. There's the three of us against Uriel on his own. Although we had the advantage in terms of sheer numbers, it exceeded us in raw power. In conclusion, the chances of defeat remained staggeringly high.
Did not go through?
It was just kind of soft. Lilith uttered his name with a trembling voice. Sorami attempted to rush to my side, but the demon managed to hold her back.
Setsuna! Setsuna!
I nodded at her to signal I was alright. As Raziel propped me up, Uriel took his time flying over to us, seizing us with his wicked glare. I briefly exchanged looks with Lilith. She nodded, then took Sorami and retreated to a safe distance.
Uriel!
His expression, the very air around him, above all else, his volcanic zeal. Uriel turned to Raziel, his lips curling into a smile.
Finally, I finally found you, sinful angel.
Uriel's words flowed calm and serene as he clutched his head with both hands, a touch of fury blending into his madness.
Me? A sinner?
This question must have chilled Raziel to the very core. Yeah, she stood in the midst of flames.
Indeed, you are a sinner, the gravest of sinners. Ah, how long I've searched for you. How long I've wanted to kill you. May God be praised for granting me this day.
Uriel spread his arms wide, burning with hostility and bloodlust. This thing was a monster. The terrifying intensity of his madness made me certain of that. Even the headache and hallucination I experienced before came bubbling back up. Out of my way! I have no time for you!
Why did you call me a sinner? What did you mean? I didn't do anything!
She hadn't done a thing. Raziel lacked something critical to be able to assert that claim. Her memories, ones pertaining to the divine calamity, things she should never have forgotten.
Do you remember what you did? Oh, I see you managed to retain your sanity. I could not have done that in your shoes.
What did I do?
Want me to tell you? After all you've done, you're begging me to tell you? Keep dreaming! I will not lift a single finger to help you!
Overwhelmed, Raziel took a step backwards. Uriel's expression of fury abruptly shifted to that of profound joy.
Oh, I remember now! It's your book! Your book, Raziel! I found it! I found your book! Aren't you glad? Well, aren't you?
Well, although Uriel's chaotic train of thought was difficult to follow, Raziel nonetheless found herself frozen in place upon hearing that one certain word.
My book?
Yup. It was the one and only book, the Sefer Raziel. No question about it. The binding, the spine, the contents, all of it matched up.
Where did you find it?
Raziel questioned him as her whole body trembled with fear. Uriel flashed a maddened smile and pointed straight up at the sky.
The book town of Kanda, on the 6th stratum.
So the 6th stratum was Kanda.
I see.
Raziel's tone had turned ice cold.
And did you do anything to my book?
Would it make you mad if I said I burned it?
No. It would, however, put things into a new perspective for me. Uriel, I would kill you. I would grind you into the dust until your very memory disappeared from the halls of Tokyo Babel.
Uriel's body trembled upon hearing Raziel's grim proclamation, and then he roared with laughter.
Know your place! Kill me? Grind me to dust? I'm the only one allowed such words!
His rage exploded.
You have no right to spout such threats at me, you rotten whore of an angel! This is all your fault, you know!
My fault?
Suddenly, Uriel's expression changed to one of uncertainty.
Wait, Raziel, your responsibility? Why did you say something like that?
Oddly enough, Uriel found himself puzzled by his own words. As Raziel and I stared at him in confusion, he quickly shook his head and went on in his usual tone.
I am Uriel. My flames consume all sinners, all false prophets. Evil itself shall burn in my fire till nothing is left but ashes. That is my sacred duty. A duty I carried out diligently for several millennia without fail. My zeal equaled only my eternal reverence for God, which is why I am more than worthy to reside in heaven.
I felt my heart race faster as he uttered that one word. Heaven. Was Uriel there once?
Uriel, wait! You said you were worthy to reside in heaven? Were you also there after the divine calamity occurred?
Oh, I was. It was the same as always. Actually, not exactly the same. You see, the place has gotten quite a bit more spacious after all the unworthy angels were cast out. A wonderful place where only the chosen few could live. Angels alongside only the purest of humans. You should have seen it.
A wonderful place? If that were truly the case, then
Then why are you here now? Wouldn't you want to stay in heaven?
I guess would have been work. His duty as a flame of God was to monitor the gates of hell and punish sinners. Explain why he left heaven.
No. I fled.
Fear and despair darkened his gaze now, robbing it of his former near ecstatic madness.
What do you mean?
Uriel crouched on the ground, clutching his head with both hands.
Raziel, no! It's all your fault! Everything went out of control because of you! Damn it! I'm not going back! I never want to set foot inside a place like that!
Uriel, calm yourself! Uriel!
It's over! I'm done for! I cast it all aside! Even talking to you like this is painful! But I'll never return to my former self!
Sensing a lust for battle from the maddened angel, I tightened my grip on the Pakete's sword.
Oh, right. That's right. I know. What really matters here, what's really important is that... Damn it, it's no good. There's no order. Only chaos reigns. I shouldn't even call it chaos, but...
As Uriel kept mumbling to himself, he once again stood up and began approaching us.
Well, it doesn't matter. What does matter is that I kill you, Raziel. I'll crush you to dust. I'll twist your spine till it breaks and bathe in your blood. I have to. There's no other way.
I see. In that case, we have nothing more to discuss.
Raziel pulled out her tablet, connecting its cable to her own wrist.
Erasing Uriel. Elias the Flame of God from group database. Appending enemy ID code. Accessing combat data. Download complete. Establishing temporary objective. Complete annihilation of the target.
Raziel's gaze was cold as ice, her tiny being overflowing with tremendous amounts of magical energy.
Let us begin, Uriel. May you return to the void that began creation.
Come then!
The amount of time it took me to inhale and exhale a breath, Raziel had already lunged at Uriel. The fist landed a clean hit on the other angel.
You should have stayed cooped up with your books, damn you!
Uriel exploded with elated fury by shooting azure flames in Raziel's direction, who, despite taking a direct hit that sent her flying backwards, recovered soon after.
Setsuna!
Immediately responded to her, mobilizing my magic reserves to call forth the power of the Piketty sword. Answer my call! Gluttony! The beast materialized in the world, baring its terrible fangs at Uriel.
You think to stop me with that filthy mongrel?
Uriel latched onto the nape of the colossal beast, crushing at it without a shred of hesitation, as he once again turned his attention back to me. It's Raziel's turn to launch an attack.
Space manipulation. Water, level 2.
The very ground Uriel stood on turned to water, extinguishing the nearby flames by blanketing the whole area with cool air.
Crafty as ever, I see. That hasn't changed about you, has it? Huh?
Uriel's roar echoed throughout the air. As Raziel was blown far into the distance, Uriel turned his attention back to me, gaze overflowing with contempt.
Did you honestly think you could beat me with cheap tricks like this?
It does not matter whether or not you think I can beat you. I will, because that is my mission. With that, I mustered all my strength to hurl the Piketty sword in Uriel's direction. This was an ordinary blade. Uriel could easily deflect it without breaking a sweat. However, the blade it wielded once belonged to Uriel himself. That forced him to hesitate for a heartbeat. Knowing this there would be one chance to retrieve the blade. You should not have done that. You should have deflected the sword, then calmly picked it up once he had either killed or immobilized me. The reason behind Uriel's hesitation was twofold. First off, against swiftly advancing at him. Secondly, I most likely never found himself in a situation like this before. Aside from combat being a series of rapid decision-making, and also depended heavily on how each participant interpreted said choices, how swiftly it could derive an optimal solution in the heat of battle. That was the natural conclusion I myself had arrived at after fighting Gethel, Abdiel, and Belial. Each of my opponents displayed monstrous prowess. One wrong move could invite a swift death. Unless I prepared myself, would only end up buckling under intense pain. I speculated that Uriel had never once wrestled with such thoughts. To him, who had been born a powerful angel, combat merely meant instilling fear in his enemies as he trampled them underfoot with overwhelming power. That fact had become evident from the way he fought, in which case, defeating Uriel meant stirring panic, bewilderment, and hesitation in his heart. Amplify my speed through the power of air while tapping into earth to strengthen my internal weapons. God of might, touch a cover, whoa! The right arm swelled in size, crashing into Uriel's jaw in a powerful uppercut. Just as I raised my fist to land a follow-up blow, Uriel slammed a kick into my abdomen and sent me flying.
A maggot who fails to even realize his own reason for being has no right to touch me!
Grabbing me by the neck, Uriel slammed me into the asphalt below, then asked me to join my manic explosion. Repeated again and again and again. Raziel left our way, and intended to do something to help. However, Uriel held up my body to give himself a female angel. When the neck being squeezed tighter and tighter, I felt my consciousness fade, and so did the pain. I found myself liberated from the jaws of fire, the crippling sensation of having my neck crushed. When the feeble attempt to break free from his grasp, to no avail, the strength of all but left me. I would soon die here. Might even be content with that outcome. However, just as I was ready to succumb to that train of thought, a peculiar chill rushed through my entire body. Most of his tone up into my mind as my vision began to fade. Uriel's gaze, a mixture of bloodlust and pure disgust, pierced into me.
You monster! You fiend of a human! You sinner! A wretched sinner! That's what you are, nameless mortal! Not a soul in this world would love or need an abomination as vile as you, fake messiah!
He must have peeked into my memories. He spewed one abusive expletive after another, yet I was bothered by not a syllable of it. I'd already leveled at myself all the wicked language I could think of, cursing my own existence, loathing what I had done. As such, only one objective burned vividly in mind now. Finding a way to overcome the obstacle that was Uriel, I need to think of nothing else. Using Takimukazachi, the god of thunder, would yield no results here. Uriel's name may have indicated flaming god, yet the ancient scriptures of Judaism treat it as lightning. Kakasuchi, the god of flames, would similarly be out of the question. My opponent was fire incarnate, and never be able to surpass him, even by tapping into magic. The god of might, then? Unlikely. See the strength he slammed me into the ground with a short while ago far exceed the boost I could gain from the power of Tachikara Woe. As the mind shifted through the various strategies that could be utilized in defeating Uriel, every single possibility gave back a clear error message. None of them would work. In a matter of seconds, it would break my neck. This much was certain. So, what was I to do? How was I supposed to act? How?
Can you break free?
Not likely.
I see. In that case, I'll come help you. Space reinforcement. Water. Level 3.
Water burst forth right next to where Uriel was standing, biting into his elbow like a serpent. However...
You think that'll work?
A single swing of his arm sent the water serpent into oblivion, and then flashed a satisfied grin.
You have my gratitude, Tendo Setsuna. You allowed me to reaffirm my very own raison d'etre. I exist to purge the wicked, wielding fire and thunder, symbols of rage and retribution. I live to cleanse the world of its myriad evils.
In one broad swing, Uriel held my body aloft and hurled it towards Raziel.
Setsuna!
As I crashed into Raziel, the two of us were blown off all the way back to the Tokyo Dome. When he blacked out for a mere second, but the period of time was more than enough for Uriel to move to an elevated position. The situation had just turned from bad to worse. Displaying magical prowess surpassing what I experienced during my training session with Belial, Uriel brandished a huge metal pillar about 3 meters in length. It was a massive door bolt. It should have been used to bar the gates of hell to protect the angels' many divine secrets.
This world needs divine punishment. It needs retribution. It needs the law of God. Depravity, corruption, and betrayal shall not be forgotten. I live to root out all traces of evil, and so shall I accept all the good that resides within this world. God is my light, my flame, my blade, my spear. Thunder and fury shall be the bullet that strikes down the wicked. A will forged of steel, the spark to propel it towards their blackened hearts. Their wretched souls shall receive no parting gift but the iron fist of divine retribution. I summon thee, Shale of Tartarus! Amen!
The colossal pillar in Uriel's grasp split open to a myriad parts, each fragment imbued with terrifying magical power.
Run!
I couldn't. Raziel's body had been weakened from the damage it sustained when I crashed into her, rendering her unable to move. A little chance I may have of escaping, now casting all aside. I threw my arms wide open, sheltering her, feeling strangely refreshed, yet not intoxicated. If anything, I was completely calm and at ease. This had to be my raison d'etre, to die for the sake of other, without obstructing thoughts, hindering good. Accompanied by a deafening roar, the pillar of fragments discharged a bolt of fierce lightning. My body was pierced, my flesh mercilessly ravaged by high voltage and electricity. A feeling of intense numbness rushed along my right elbow, left knee, left shoulder, right ankle, my side, and left wrist, then exploded with pain. I felt myself being eroded away. scream filled my ears. Relieved that I had managed to protect her, I turned to smile at Raziel, yet found myself taken back by her horror-stricken expression. Could I really say I protected her? Raziel should have used the time I brought her an escape. I firmly believed she would do that. However, she collapsed on her knees, refusing to leave my side. I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to. You must flee! There shouldn't be time until the next shot! Recall what Belial had taught me about proclaiming one's raison d'etre, about discharging a large amount of magic to protect one's inner world onto the outside world. There had to be a downtime during that process. I'm begging you, flee while there's still...
No! I won't! I won't! I won't!
Raziel violently shook her head and clung on to me, almost like an unruly child, refusing to let go of the mother. In a few seconds, and Uriel would fully recover. Once that time came, he would muster all his magic to kill both me and Raziel. Calculate the likelihood of such an outcome to be 98%, certainly the kind of odds that would drive one to despair. But none of it. Not yet. Blood rushed up my throat. I gulped back down. I struggled to my feet, my ankles still in ruin, while enduring unimaginable pain. Unable to maintain my balance, I collapsed back onto my knees. I need to protect them. Mankind, the angels, the demons, all living things. God. True mankind's desires once bore that name, but no longer. I stood here today as a mortal man, as a weapon, machine, and slave. My mission was to protect Lilith, Sorami, and Raziel, a duty I carried out as best as I could. But now, it's no longer within my capabilities. Uriel's strike had put me on the verge of death, to be struck down by a blow truly befitting of one of the four master angels. My heart would soon beat its last, the mind I comprehended its impending demise. My reason for being. I once thought that accomplishing my mission and keeping my companions safe would stand as my raison d'etre. In the end, it was both right and wrong. This much I could say. I did not come this far, nor did I shoulder all this sin. Only had it end on this accursed third stratum. I gripped my teeth, struggling to endure the crippling pain. I had to stand up, I had to face him in battle, and survive the ordeal. To protect Raziel, I had to overturn the odds, no matter what! A click. Something resounded deep within me, a cogwheel. A mechanical gear sprang to life in the depths of my soul, but once there had been nothing. My heart, my lungs, muscles, and brain all came alive once more, driven by a singular purpose. To live, to survive, to fight and prevail. To fulfill that purpose, I needed something, a blade coated in sorcery, this lethal swing ready to fell all in its path, or a shield dazzling crystal, stalwart and unflinching against even the most terrifying of odds. No, I need no weapons or armor, for I could wield neither. Uriel was a veritable monster. I failed deficiency in my own analytical capabilities, prevented me from conjuring up armaments and that could surpass his strength, or protective equipment that might withstand his fury. There existed several requirements before I could truly become invincible. Requirements I've yet to fulfill. One thing that could serve me best in this situation were legs that would carry me beyond space and time. Create it, conjure it, will it into existence with utmost haste. Tap into the power slumbering within you. All I had to do was comprehend the dimensional theory, construct a mechanism that could function within its framework. Everything I required was right here. If not, I simply had to force it into existence. Dimensional. As far as I could go, it was more than enough. I clung onto that faint glimmer of the theory I managed to unearth, desperate not to let go. In order to live, to survive, to protect. Dimensional leap. Hermes! Space itself had been distorted, and there were thin cracks running along reality, light seeping through the slits. I chilled, swung, and grabbed Raziel by the arm.
What?
Setsuna!
Moments before I leapt into the dimensional tear, I saw Lilith in the distance.
Setsuna?
She threw something my way, caught without even checking what it was, and proceeded through the tear.
Come back here, you bastard!
Screaming various obscenities our way, Uriel leapt inside the tear in pursuit, but it was as far as it could go.
What?
This place was merely a narrow rift, existing within a crevice of reality. Their existence crawled and coiled in the form of shapeless line, lacking an earth and a sky, its coordinates fickle at best. Without a focused mind, it became difficult to tell whether one was even advancing or retreating through this realm. Either way, it took Raziel by the hand and proceeded forward, soaring onwards with renewed determination. That was my foremost concern.
You son of a... Come back here!
In your dreams, Uriel. I glanced down my feet, spotting that they had sprouted a series of mechanical wings. Relying on them, I quickened my pace, escaping the angel's clutches. Supposed to muster every last drop of my strength I still had left, sacrificing many a thing in the process. Yet that was still not guaranteed the maddened angel's demise. If it did, there would be no meaning to it. That was the conclusion I'd arrived at, a train of thought that now drove me to flee like a coward. In order to keep living, surviving, protecting others. I fled and fled as swift as the wind, finally leaping into another dimensional rift.
You bastard!
Though Uriel was hot on the heels of pursuit, the rift closed a mere heartbeat before he could enter it. As I glanced back, his eyes met mine, in a tiny crevice before it closed up for good.
Wretched sinner! I'll bathe in your blood one day. Mark my words, I'll chase you down to the ends of this earth if I have to. And once I find you, I'll rip out your guts and feed them to you as you watch!
I suddenly looked him in the eye, enduring an abuse and explosive waves of unchained bloodlust. The rift finally closed up, giving us much needed time to take in our surroundings.
This is...
We were inside Tokyo Babel, that much was certain, in a place other than the first, second, or third strata. It could possibly have been a stratum beyond that, somewhere between the fourth and the seventh.
This isn't the fourth stratum. That place has a master of its own, which means this could either be the fifth, sixth, or seventh.
There is no master here? Raziel nodded, pointing at a nearby building in a very matter-of-fact way.
A master's overflowing inner world always ends up destroying the realm they chose to rule. I see no trace of that here.
Are you implying we should expect no hostiles?
Just because there's no master around doesn't guarantee a safe journey. However, it is essential we don't keep moving at the moment.
Why? Raziel returned my question with a puzzled look.
Setsuna, you're in no shape to walk, let alone fight.
My words brought back some recent memories. My body was in terrible shape, tattered from head to toe. The pain soon returned as well. Now that my battle with Uriel was done, I had calmed down. As I collapsed onto the ground, Raziel hurriedly ran up to me.
Give me a moment. I'll treat your wounds.
As Raziel magic began its work, a smile involuntarily crept onto my lips.
What is it?
Nothing. It just occurred to me how angel-like you're acting. Upon hearing my words, Raziel expressed an end up colored by a touch of discontent.
But I am an angel.
True, but I do not recall seeing you apply healing magic all that often. For some reason, I found myself consciously making conversation, injecting remark after remark as Raziel kept working.
Well, okay, I won't heal you next time then.
I found kinda adorable how she responded in a sulking tone. Especially since her hands didn't show a hint of stopping, despite her words.
Alright, I think that should do it. I'll go take a look around, so you just stay here. If anything happens, I'll let you know.
Understood. Make sure not to overdo it.
I'm more of an indoors type of person, so it'll be fine.
She didn't even give me time to ask exactly what would be fine. Enduring the pain, I set automatic machines coursing in my veins to work, ordering them to begin regenerating my body. Though it ended up stranded with just the two of us, I still found myself at ease. This place could be the 5th, 6th, or 7th stratum.
Books.
this was a 6th stratum, then the book town of Konda would have to be here. Dreaming about that possibility, Raziel soared even faster but soon gave up on the idea.
It's not here.
Among the rows of ruined buildings, she spotted a factory-like complex. It still stood in decent shape. It was clearly not a bookshop, but rather
The entrance to the Tsukiji market.
the Tsukiji Market, one of the finest fish markets in Japan. Needless to say, the place was completely deserted. However, all the fish were still neatly lined up at the stalls, lending the area a positively eerie atmosphere. Though people often use the expression to have eyes like a dead fish, the way these things were lined up here seared the image of death into my mind.
Ugh, and they smell too.
The place was laden with the stench of fish, something Raziel found somewhat difficult to endure. In any case, it had become clear that this wasn't the 6th stratum. Provided Uriel spoke the truth, it most likely did, even madness, the angel had no reason to lie. As such, stood the reason that it was either the 5th or the 7th stratum. There would be one way to make sure, to have a look on the outside of Tokyo Babel. Yet, that would be far too dangerous. Raziel feared getting swept off the soaring purgatory without a fully able Setsuna at her side. One thing was clear in her mind, though. That's not a soul that had been to this place since the foundation of Tokyo Babel. And here she was now. Her Nintendo Setsuna. With a moment of delight, Raziel realized something of utmost importance.
It's just the two of us.
Placed beyond the reach of angels, demons, and possibly even the Lord himself. This could very well have been a critical moment for her, in more ways than one. So she floated onwards, that one thought never once leaving her mind. I struggled to my feet, confirming the successful recovery of all essential components of my body: bones, muscles, skin, nerves, veins. I clenched my fists, then lightly tapped the ground with my feet. All good. Another hour and I'll be good as new. All I had left to do was signal to Raziel and decide how we should proceed from here. There were 3 options to consider. 1. Search for a way back to Pandora. 2. Wait here until help arrives. 3. Keep pressing on. It's still far too early for number 2. We'll need to consider it if number 1 and number 3 became impossible to carry out, which ultimately left us with a choice between these 2. One suddenly felt the most reasonable option to pick, but I glanced down a silver key in my palm, the one that once belonged to Sorami. Back then, Lilith must have hurled the key my way because she expected something like this to happen. Either way, how were we to proceed? Naturally, I would first have to discuss it with Raziel, but I still felt I should have given some thought of my own too. If this place turned out to be the 7th stratum, our choice was clear. We press on and open the gates of heaven. We could easily bring an end to the struggle. Sorami wouldn't have to risk her life any longer. She could return to the peaceful life she had once had. Furthermore, no one else would have become a pilgrim. It would be the last. What if this place turned out to be a 5th or 6th stratum? How were we to act then? That's a more difficult question to answer. Provided this was a 6th stratum, we could very well run into the book Raziel had been desperately searching for. In that case, we would need to make finding it our top priority. What if this was a 5th stratum then? Would we search for the gates of 6th stratum and keep pressing onwards? After all, this place had no master overseeing it. If we reached the 6th stratum, Raziel's long-cherished wish would be fulfilled. She could finally retrieve her book. Save for Raziel, a tome containing all divine knowledge of creation. The book she had written for herself and entrusted it to mankind as a show of faith. If at all possible, I wanted to fulfill that dream of hers.
Setsuna?
I agreed to Raziel upon her return, and asked if she had found anything of note.
Yes, a building. It seems to be Tokyo's Tsukiji market, which means we're not on the 6th stratum.
I see. Got my hopes up in vain. Either way, we now have to decide whether to retrace our steps or continue onwards.
What's wrong?
Raziel, I'd like to hear your opinion. Should we keep going or turn back? Raziel promptly froze in place. Raziel? After a few moments, she suddenly seemed to have come to some sort of conclusion.
I see. never even thought about that.
Not exactly the most reassuring of replies. If it turns out this is the 7th stratum,
Yes, in that case, we should be able to find Jacob's ladder around here, or at least something to lead us to it.
can you detect anything like that now? She suddenly shook her head. So that makes this place the 5th stratum.
I'd say that's very likely. It's just that I'd like to go outside to confirm it.
Outside? You mean... I see. Back in the 1st stratum, we step outside to give Gethel's body to the sea. If this were, by any chance, the 7th stratum, we should be extremely close to Tokyo Babel's summit, a place not a soul had seen, let alone reached up until now.
I need to check the outer wall. Could you lend me a hand?
No reason to refuse. Of course, let's be on our way, Raziel.
Okay.
We both pushed ourselves away from the ground, leapt into the skies, and began flying side by side.
So, Setsuna, did you manage to find it during your battle with Uriel? Your raison d'etre, I mean.
With a few moments of consideration, I gave her an uncertain nod. But it's not perfect yet. I merely grazed the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. As I seize it with all my might, I won't be able to rein it in. I wasn't at that level just yet.
Oh, I see. Oh?
What's wrong?
I could have sworn you changed your tone a bit just now.
Oh. Accidental slip of the tongue on my part. Raziel kept staring at me, refusing to swallow any sort of excuse that my claim was just her imagination. So I gave in. You're right. I used to talk a slightly different way, but I corrected it shortly before coming to this world.
Corrected it?
Yes, I was told to be more firm on speech because it would fit me better. Feeling like I had just been liberated from a tremendous burden, my tone gradually shifted back to how it used to be.
You must have gone through a lot, right?
In a way. I produced a bitter smile, still uncertain how she would react to hearing about my past. She was an angel, after all, and also someone who never forcefully inquires about said past. But I think she started to suspect something. My powers, the way I talked and acted, what little I had shared about my past. The world I used to call home. The world succumbed to endless conflict, having lost its final ray of hope. Talking about the past wasn't easy, but if the need arose, anyone would have strength enough to reveal it. However, I needed a different kind of strength, a different kind of resolve, in order to reveal my past to Raziel. I didn't wish to be scorned. I didn't wish for her to fear me, or become sad because of me. Those worries have been on my mind constantly.
I'm going to land here for a bit.
Urged on by Raziel, ended up landing in the middle of the Tsukichi market. The stench of fish was somewhat unpleasant.
Look, what should we do with all this fish?
What should we do?
You know, like sushi, for example. You're Japanese, right? Sushi should be no problem for you then.
I had a feeling Raziel was kind of giddy with excitement. Now that I think about it, there must have been some trouble with foreign tourists at the Tsukichi market a number of years ago. Say that's pushing it, Raziel. Though, well, preparing tuna might not require anything more complex than chopping it up, now that I think about it. Truth be told, I did actually witness the work of a sushi cook once before. I should be able to mimic that easily enough. On the other hand, I didn't have the proper rice. Besides, actually, didn't you bring lunch yourself? Raziel blinked back at me in confusion. I seemed to touch upon something thoroughly unexpected. She thrust her hand into her pocket, trying to desperately fish out something, not to be rude, but clearly wouldn't be there. She pulled out a sword, then a shield. Her pocket must have been connected to, ironically enough, a pocket dimension. She kept pulling item after item from it, various weapons, pieces of armor, as well as accessories both seemingly important and useless, piling them up into a small mountain.
Found it!
Relieved, she triumphantly held the box lunch in question.
Thank goodness. I almost thought I'd lost it mid-battle.
Could you lose a thing it was inside a pocket dimension? Also, what was she planning to do with the mountain of bits and bobs accumulated behind her?
The time seems perfect for lunch. What do you think?
Sure, but maybe somewhere else. We ended up finding a nearby sushi shop that still had its interior in good enough shape. Fresh sushi toppings lined the shelves, but they're all neatly preserved and sliced up, emitting no smell. Raziel looked at me nervously, chewing on her thumb. I did plan to take her hand, but for now, I'd like to try the lunch you made. The moment I said that, she flushed, bright red, responding just like a young human girl would.
Well then,
We sat down next to each other, setting the two lunchboxes on the table.
I really hope you're going to like it.
Her smile froze up then and there, with my lunchbox as well, immediately comprehending the reasons behind her shock. Well, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't expecting something like this. It certainly was a universal problem faced by many. The larger the box, the more difficult it was to handle it. One had to be careful never to carry it vertically like one would a book. Unless they wanted to end up like this. It was, sorry sight. Truly, almost difficult to look at, the fried chicken mixing with the tamagoyaki, taking on a peculiar hue with pieces of a rice ball hanging off of it. The salad was all over the place with one piece of cabbage coiling about the apple slices. The apple itself ended up soaking in grease as it pressed against the pieces of fried chicken. Raziel was on the verge of tears, or rather, had already begun to cry. Just looking at her made my heart ache. I instinctively clutched my own chest, seeing Raziel sink deeper and deeper into despair, buckling under pressure while shredding gigantic tears of despair. I simply could not hold myself back any longer. With chopsticks in hand, I reached out towards a piece of fried chicken. As Raziel looked at me, round-eyed, I smiled back at her, and swiftly popped the chicken into my mouth. I began chewing on the apple chicken, pleased with both its tender texture and flavor. I could barely tell that the flavors were mixed up.
Stop!
Raziel quickly pulled the box away from me, playing with the expression of a child who was robbed of her favorite toy. It's good.
I don't like liars.
I'm telling the truth, though.
There's no way this train wreck of a lunchbox could be to anyone's liking.
Exhaled a long sigh. Knowing words would be insufficient in making her understand, I quickly scooped up a piece of the fried chicken and forced it into her mouth.
I don't know what sounds to try.
Chewing, I guess? Yeah, like that. How is it? Raziel features gradually loosened.
This is actually pretty good, isn't it?
It is. Next, I went for the tamagoyaki. Most likely due to how unappetizing it looked, Raziel stared at me where her breath held as I carried the food to my mouth. Texture itself was hardly anything to write home about, but the moderate sweetness to the flavor had a certain nostalgic feel to it.
There's no way it would be.
No,
Sorry.
it actually is good. Here, open up. She nervously opened her mouth, after which I carefully placed a piece of the food into it.
Well, I'm not so sure. I mean, it's already fallen apart.
Taste is fine though, isn't it?
Well, yes, I suppose it is.
Raziel must have been acting so bashful because she realized she was praising her own cooking. Honestly though, the food is good enough to generally feel proud about. Spent the rest of the time quietly nibbling away at our food. The only objectionable part I could think of was how the fried chicken's oil soaked into the apple. Nonetheless, I dutifully ate everything up without difficulty. Go for it.
I'm full.
I'm full! We pressed our hands together in a brief prayer that helped ourselves to some of the tea we found lining the shop shelves. After taking a long sip, we both exhaled a satisfied sigh. I managed to calm my nerves, stealing a sideway glance at Raziel. I noticed her gazing intently at the ripples in her teacup.
This tea tastes a bit strange.
Come on, don't go compare it to Soma. This is what I heard before the angels of heaven lit off of a substance called Soma. This flavor must have been of the highest, most exquisite quality. Naturally, we had no such thing here at Tokyo Babel. A small handful of angels still held onto their emergency reserves, but that was about it.
Oh, I'm not saying it's bad. It's certainly delicious and complements the food perfectly.
I see.
Soma's a bit on the sweet side. Too sweet, in fact. I never had to eat anything else in my life, though.
So, Raziel, you wish to return to heaven? Raziel thought to herself for a few moments, then cocked her head to the side, giving no clear indication of what her response was.
I'm not entirely certain myself. At first I wanted to return there as soon as possible. It is sort of my homeland, you see.
What was it about heaven that made people want to live there at all costs? After all, they do not even have books.
But I've started to think that simply living my life at Tokyo Babel with you, Lilith, and Sorami may not be all that bad either.
It was a dreamlike notion at best. Nothing lasted forever. Eternity was an illusion. Even now, we kept pressing onwards, weathering all the hardships that came our way. Even still, that brief, blissful time we spent together. Are you sure? Raziel shook her head, defying her own dream while staring reality straight in the eye.
No, we couldn't stay like that, even if we wanted to. Tokyo Babel is a fleeting existence at best. It will all vanish one day. Which is precisely why we must open the gates of heaven as soon as we can.
I know. I comprehended her reasoning, yet there was one particular issue still tugging at the back of my mind. You know, I never even considered it up till now. There's one more thing I'd like to know. Once the gates of heaven are open, what am I supposed to do then?
Oh.
Am I to understand you had no plan in mind whatsoever?
Lilith has one, I think. Maybe?
I could have done without the weak maybe at the end. Either way, I doubt Lilith had anything particular in mind. If she did, she would deny it.
How about coming to heaven with me?
Raziel hung her head, her words softening, with the feeling that was an invitation of sorts. Heaven, God's paradise, a realm of eternal bliss and happiness. Not to respectfully decline, heaven's no place for someone like me.
But why? Even how you fight for God. In my opinion, you have every right to be granted eternal bliss in heaven.
I disagree. And no such right.
You do?
Raziel, I'm a murderer. She stared back at me in confusion.
If this is about Gethel and Kuro Miyako, you mustn't let it get to you. The former was an angel, the latter devoured one, and both of them were beyond saving.
No, I'm not talking about them. My expression had no doubt clouded over as I uttered the words. I'm a murderer. My hands are stained with the blood of over 10 billion people.
10 billion?
I set down my teacup neatly on the table, longing for the touch of another. I reached out and clasped Raziel's hand. She jolted back for a moment, almost as if in refusal, her entire body shaken by a chill. Words once spoke ushered in the destruction of all the people in my world. Raziel found herself at a loss for words. She gave my hand a squeeze, never once letting go of it. Like I said, I'm a cold-blooded murderer. Their voices buzzed in my ear like a swarm of insects. Enough, quiet down. I clearly remember being overcome by such negative emotions. As an infant, I was made into an exhibition to be gawked at by people in a pure white room. They took utmost care to maintain hygiene, almost to an unnatural degree. White, white, white as far as I could see. Nothing more, just white. I despised that color. That was another thing that crossed my mind at the time. I possessed clear, ordered, logical thoughts, hardly a feat common in newborn children. But I was special, was chosen by the people of this world. As far as parallel worlds were concerned, mine was exceptionally heretical. There existed worlds ruled by dinosaurs, others by mankind. Some fell victim to nuclear warfare, others to natural disasters. Some even advanced their technology far enough to make successful voyages to the far depths of space. Yet all those worlds had one common characteristic: faith. Myths of a myriad names, carrying a myriad traditions. The name may have differed in each world, spirits, angels, God, or fate, but the fact remained that people believed in the existence of an unseen, infinitely vast force. That was no doubt a consequence of the existence of angels and demons. People everywhere believed in some form of spirituality, some kind of a higher supernatural existence. My world was different. We turned our backs on all such notions. What could have been the cause? The gradual depletion of mankind's vital resources through natural disasters and a change in Earth's crust? Or perhaps because men and women, young and old alike, accepted a world of incessant turmoil and war where bloodshed only birthed even more bloodshed? Indeed, a world had rejected God. Ours was a world governed by complete rationality, rejecting the supernatural and the spiritual. In other words, forces transcending mere natural phenomena. He did experience an age of the occult. However, soon it found himself exposed, made almost redundant by rationality. The spirit was subordinate to the category of mere natural phenomena, while psychic abilities fell under the field of physics. Soon enough, we're now completely rejecting the idea of a supposedly all-seeing, all-knowing God. Life's numerous misfortunes were attributed to mere coincidence, not fate. The horrors of the world were the work of men, not a cabal of demons. Similarly, the many wonders of the world were hardly the gift of angels, but the crystallization of mankind's relentless efforts. We continue to grow and expand, eventually gaining dominance over both the earth and nature itself. We overcame all natural disasters. Religion did not exist, neither did people clinging onto a higher being. Everyone lived only for themselves. Following the complete erosion of natural borders, establishment of a one-world government, the Earth's population exceeded 10 billion. And so, mankind came to the realization that they were wary of it all. Indeed, mankind found itself exhausted, sick of wars, of conflict, even of victory. Their hearts and minds had been worn down on the verge of collapse. They yearned for something to cling onto, something to rely on, someone to lend an ear to their pleas. All 10 billion people nurtured that same idea. Normally, a being to fulfill such wishes would be called a god, all-knowing and omnipotent. However, our world had already rejected God, denied existence of a conveniently all-powerful being. Guided by that mindset, we built a highly advanced society that refused to depend on a being such as God. The course of a history bordered on the miraculous, yet here we were at our collective wits' end. As the world's population exceeded 80 billion, the fires of war, thought to have long since been extinguished, came sparkling back to life all across the globe. The aggressors' goals were neither resources nor territory gain. They attacked out of rage, irritation, sadness, and despair, igniting conflict after conflict without end. So our unified world began working on a singular project. I already turned our backs on the foolish notion of omnipotent God a good 2,000 years before. However, we're now devoting human history to the guidance of others. We had enough, no more. We're so tired, weary beyond words, and so We chose to create our own omnipotent God. With the power of cutting-edge technology, we would create God. In any other world, such an action would no doubt be labeled as the ultimate hubris. However, our world had no such creator, only mankind, arrogant in its rationality. So, we created God. If we were to give birth to a person to act as God, we need to be created in the image of a man. And that's exactly what we did, create a living being resembling a human. His birth would not be carried by way of a maternal womb either. After all, we were guided by rationality, down to very last details, and God was a unique being, peerless in all the world, would not be born from the womb of a mere human. Life would be created from zero, granted intelligence and elevated to godhood. It was a tremendously ambitious project, the scope rivaled only by its sheer folly, yet the world at large had high hopes for its completion. They were weary of life and wished to rest. It was a notion shared by every man and woman. She introduced herself to me as Tendo Naru. I clearly recall hearing her name even through the walls of my capsule, filled to the brim with amniotic fluid. Nika?
Apparently, it means zero in German. Wouldn't that be no though? Well, I would never have given my parents if they gave me a name like that.
Her lips curled upwards. I found her smile beautiful. That one thought stayed with me. One she would greet me with a smile, when none of the other nameless researchers did.
You were created to one day become the world's god.
She went on, gently leaning against the capsule I was in.
But right now, you're still my child.
I couldn't help but spot a hint of sadness lurking behind her smile. My first words were neither mommy nor daddy, but the name of a woman, Tendo Naru. And so the days trickled on. Eventually, I was removed from the amniotic fluid and born as God. However, I was not yet perfect. I required education. So I studied history, learned from the follies of our forefathers, while also acquainting myself with positive qualities such as nobility, virtue, and bravery. The history of man was one red with blood, so I too had learned the art of war. My body had been endowed with a variety of special abilities, divided into categories such as Hinokakasuchi, Tachikawa wo, Takamikazuchi, and so on. Those skills were hardly magic, but rather modifications of certain physical abilities. They granted to me following a careful study of the various characteristics of electric eels and insects, nothing more, nothing less. They were powers that held no meaning beyond performance. I grew up at a normal rate, though this was partly due to the accelerants that had been administered. The primary reason originated in the fact that humanity itself could not bear to wait more than another decade or two at best. The cries echoed my ears each and every day. I was told that my words and actions would soothe their pain. My tone and speech patterns were corrected after about 2 or 3 months.
It really shouldn't matter how you talk, you know.
Her soft laugh chimed in the air. I looked at her, confused. After 3 months, I first discovered what role she played in all of this. A problematic woman who was indispensable to the project, but should never have been a part of it. Such were the circumstances of Tendo Naru, the woman who gave me my name.
Setsuna, listen.
I doubt I am Setsuna though.
Oh, it's fine. It's just easier for me to call you that. On the other hand, it couldn't hurt if you yourself came to accept that as your identity.
Would it truly be acceptable?
What you're about to become is known by myriad names around the world. So, I see no problem with referring to you by a name that means something only to me.
I met her nonchalant tone with a smile, wondering if what she had told me was true.
Oh, you smiled. Good. Very good.
Naru flashed a smile at me, which in turn made me hide mine. Indeed, her god must never be seen smiling.
Don't worry. You'll become a new god. You will laugh, cry, and occasionally grow angry. But if you'll be happy, so will I.
Words appeared to run counter to everything I'd been taught. Everything this project and all its other members aim to accomplish. Naru, you'd probably not say that in front of others. She smiled at my warning.
I know. You're absolutely right.
She placed her hand on my head. To this day, I still remember its gentle warmth. Her job entailed not my instruction, but the creation of my body. The body of God needed to exude strength and beauty, and so her orders dictated.
Really though, what's that even supposed to mean? Did they want me to make you a bodybuilder or what?
I occasionally had trouble understanding what Naru meant.
Still, you did turn out splendidly.
You mean my body? Naru allowed me to relax my tone when it was just the two of us. Made me somewhat happy that I could have a secret to share with her.
Yes, you are strong. Make absolutely no mistake. You do possess the most powerful body on the face of this planet.
Naru? Rays of sorrow washed over her gaze, lips trembling on the verge of tears. Naru ran her thin, ice-cold fingers along my cheek.
If only he too had a body like yours.
Mr. Light.
He might still be alive.
Her whisper was not meant for my ears, and my exceedingly keen hearing picked up on it, carving each syllable deep into my mind. As nothing would be kept private from me, full access to the facility's information terminal, which allowed me to learn Naru's past. Thinking back on it in retrospect, I wish I'd never found out. There was once a boy named Tendu Setsuna, Naru's son. However, about a year ago, he passed away. The cause of death was aging. His body aged at an increasingly accelerated rate compared to a normal human, leading to his untimely demise despite medical treatment. His name stood as a substitute for him. He was never given the time to enjoy life to its fullest. I'd be lying if I said the thought of having made a substitute for a complete stranger didn't affect me at least somewhat negatively. However, it ended up being surprisingly tough. There's nothing to be done about it. She was tormented by grief and possibly hatred as well. I had no intention of letting Naru know that I had learned of her past. However, having acquired that knowledge, I couldn't help but feel something in her gaze whenever we were together. It's not hatred, though not quite love either. Something similar to the latter, but still a touch different. Obsessive attachment could be the most appropriate way to put it. Time and again, the two of us would spend some time together to chat. And every time I saw a glint of quiet madness in her eyes, despite all that, she was both a genius and my surrogate mother. One day, when it was just the two of us.
Tell me, don't you feel you're just a little too conceited?
I do not believe I am.
How foolish. You live in the moment, remember? I don't deny you're exceptional, but there are plenty others like you.
Naru? I have a hard time comprehending what you mean.
Soon, you will become someone truly exceptional, but you must never forget this. Ah, Setsuna, Setsuna, Setsuna. My dearest, beloved, detestable Setsuna. I love you from the bottom of my heart.
My memories wish to reject it. Let my mind fully comprehend the words she spoke next, her curse in disguise.
Which is why I'm going to tell you, you are...
That day, I cried for the first time in my life. Naru was dismissed from the project soon after that. I continued to grow and learn. However, the world was corrupted beyond belief, and not be able to wait for me to complete my education. 3 years was soon shortened to a single year. The world would have been consumed by the flames of conflict had I not done that. My initially rapid growth slowed down somewhat. My physical appearance was designed to shift from that of a young adult in his 20s to someone in his 30s within the span of another 2 years. However, it was decided I would be revealed to the public after only a year. The higher-ups felt things would go smoothly. Only a handful of researchers who idolized Tendo Naru ended up voicing their objections. Once the skim through the manuscript had been handed, they dragged me into the open. I had to wear a set of peculiar clothing said to have a calming psychological effect on people. I was ready to endure that much. After being created as a god and raised as such, I felt prepared to live out my life as God. I felt the beat of my heart loud and clear in my chest. As an inexplicable pain assaulted the whole of my body, my stomach felt heavy, almost like I'd been stabbed with a knife. Their cries of joy buzzed in my ear like a swarm of insects. Enough! Quiet down! You're wrong. Words of denial bubbled forth to the forefront of my mind. This is a mistake. Frail words, yet ones that spoke the undeniable truth. The incessant cries of joy buried me like an avalanche. I had enough. I wanted this to end. I felt my heart overcome by disgust, fierce enough to make me want to vomit, despair intense enough to make me want to cry. I came to know the feeling men call fear. I was scared. Once fear nestled its way into one's heart, it would never let go, yet my feet carried me onwards almost involuntarily due to how many times I practiced it. The joyful cries of the pious, many grew even louder, shouting my name in joy, worship, and adoration. I pushed the door open, light flooding my vision. In that moment, all fighting, all conflict, even petty squabbles, ceased at once. Every man and woman held onto hope, each with a dream of their own. They earnestly believed that a being like me would guide them to salvation, and I had to fulfill that duty. They bear the burden of 10 billion. The reality of it came crashing down on me like a tidal wave. Become God, shoulder their burden, guide them. No, I don't want to. Later, once I come to Tokyo Babel, we recall that day from time to time. In the end, what I lacked the most was time. It had only been a year since my birth. Far too little time for anyone to become the ruler of mankind. If only I'd waited out the planned 3 years, I might have been able to endure it. I could have become God. But that was not all how it went down. The beating of my own heart, the cries of joy all irritated me. People irritated me the way that they look at me with eyes full of expectation. The soon be the salvation of countless people. Myself would not be saved from anyone. I've been created for that purpose alone. My memories of that day were a jumbled, vague mess. The people I overlooked filled me with dread and contempt, driving me to scream at the top of my lungs. You're wrong! Not what you think I am! I'm not your god! I can't become one! I'm just a man! I screamed. The joyful buzz of the crowd died down in an instant as the very air seemed to freeze. The people below looked up at me with astonishment. Unable to bear their gazes, I mustered all my strength to flee that place. What followed was hell itself. I fled the facility using the powers I've been given to destroy the outer walls and make my way outside. Naturally, the organization responsible for my birth attempted to hunt me down, but their efforts ultimately proved fruitless. The people revolted, driven by crippling hopelessness. They stormed the gates of the research facility. You lied to us. How dare you? Despicable liars and cheats, every last one of you. Their crushed hopes amplified their despair, tearing down all obstacles in their way. The enraged mob massacred the researchers. Once their bloody work was done, they began to turn on each other, killing everyone in sight. All the people around the world who saw these events unfold through the media end up igniting the flames of war once again. However, this war differed from those preceding it. This wasn't a result of mere irritation. The reason was rather the fact that I had simply given up on the world as a whole. So people kept killing and killing, murdering everyone in their sight, be they family or loved ones. In a sense, those who chose not to kill faced an even harsher fate. They ceased to function, they stopped moving, going to work, going to school or work, they even stopped eating. Eventually, they simply perished. Revolts soon popped up at every part of the globe. Weapons of mass destruction were unleashed. Nuclear missiles rained down upon the continents. And automatic nuclear retaliation gave birth to the kind of chaos and turmoil the world had yet to experience. World leaders once appointed to guide the people committed suicide. Some with smiles on their faces, others with tears running down their cheeks. Some simply succumbed to rage and murderous impulse. It was to end the world as we knew it. With everything falling to ruin, no leader to rely on, there was no need for even guidance. Love was deemed a wicked illusion, childbirth a grave sin. The world rapidly hurried towards its own demise. I was there, watching it all unfold. I ran as far as I could go. I unconsciously headed for the countryside in Scotland, where Naru lived. According to her personal file, Naru had been living in quiet seclusion ever since her dismissal from the research institute. However, when I got there, I found her home in complete ruins.
Oh, so you did come.
A faint smile lingered on her lips as she leaned against a wall of debris. Naru!
You have to keep your voice down.
As I rushed closer, she covered my lips with her index finger. Her blood was dark in hue. She most likely had her liver damaged. Drops of blood bubbled from her mouth as she spoke, signs of a punctured lung, no doubt. Regardless, one thing was painfully clear. She was dying, didn't have much time left. Naru mustered a painful smile.
You ended up destroying this world. Let the images of ruin burn in your eyes. Feel the flames in your skin. Hear the echo of the end of times. Don't turn your back and ignore it. Take it all in.
I can't.
This isn't a question of can or can't. Do it.
But this wasn't my fault. I wanted to say those words, but for some reason, couldn't. Knowing that I once uttered it, something in me would cease to be.
I know what you're thinking. That this world wasn't thinking time bomb. And you'd be right. Ours was a trail world that needed only the tiniest of sparks to detonate. But the one who caused the spark was you. Even if it was leaders of the unified government that made you that way, in the end, you carried out the deed.
I never wished for this to happen. I simply wanted to resist the overwhelming pressure I felt. Naru gently dug her fingers into my hair.
I know. It's not your fault. It's really not. But it is your responsibility to bear. As complicated as it all may be.
I held her hand in mine, clutching it tightly. What was I to do? One thought dominated my mind. I was confused, stricken by panic. She would soon die, there was no doubt about that. Was I to fight until the very end to try and save her? Or was there something else for me to do? Damn it all. I was endlessly ignorant, blind to everything. I'm so sorry. The tears came without warning. I attempted to hold them back, but couldn't. I was afraid my body turned into something I no longer recognized. Afraid of shedding tears.
Don't cry, Setsuna.
Naru produced a final apologetic smile and died. I was unable to even grant her final wish. Creating Naru's lifeless body in my arms, I continued to cry, the tears welling forth without end. My memories of what followed were vague at best. The world edged closer to its destruction at a rapid pace, but in the end, it fell into a languid state of decline. Both the people who kept killing each other and those that took their own lives had all died. The only kind of people left were those who simply watched in complete inaction as their fellow men died in front of their eyes. Gasoline explosions charged the skies, filling it with raging fire. The moans of those trapped by the flames could be heard in the distance. However, they no longer had the will to even scream. It took to wandering, moving from place to place that I hoped to run to someone to help, someone who still had the will to live. However, all such people had long since died. It hardly surprised me. After all, the people who still held on to life no doubt tried to stop those massacring their fellow citizens, and were killed in the process. This was my responsibility. I wandered desolate streets, witnessing with my own eyes as 10 billion lives were eroded to zero. They all died. Killed by me. I drove into their deaths. Could no longer cry. Tears only filled me with guilt. I continued to wander, expressing as a hollow mass bereft of emotions. Death would bring no relief, so I pressed on. Holding on to life as the reality of what I had done continued to gnaw away my heart. In the end, I collapsed in front of the building consumed by fire. I gave my body to the ground, waiting for death's hour to strike. Each of the 10 billion people on the planet had an ID number engraved on their bodies, displaying the life signals in the information terminal. Just now, all those signals disappeared. To the very end, I couldn't save a single life. I couldn't carry out my duty. Far from it, in fact, with nothing left to do, had turned into the relic of a bygone age. One day, extraterrestrials could visit the planet, another species might evolve and gain intelligence. Either way, it was no longer my place to interfere. And so, I decided to simply lay down and wait for death. Without fulfillment, an end devoid of hope and despair. As I lay there, ready to accept my fate, I witnessed a scene out of this world. Ma.
Okay. Hey, you still alive?
Impossible. I looked up to the eyes of a young girl, her locks gleaming crimson in the flames surrounding us. She adjusted her long hair, and of tedium reflected in her movements as she locked gazes with me. She seemed not the least bit concerned with the end of the world, her tone carrying not a shred of urgency. Another girl glanced in my direction from behind the dark-haired one, observing me with a vacant, uninterested gaze.
Come, take my hand. I'll show you a world more terrifying than the depths of hell, more dazzling than the light of heaven. Tokyo Babel awaits you, soaring in the rift between the earth and the heavens.
Very well. I trusted them. I believed they were who they claimed to be, that they were an angel and a demon. I believed every last word they spoke. Following that, I once again changed the way I talked. In accordance with my newly gained mission, we traveled to Tokyo Babel and hunt down angels, demons, and mortals alike. I was not an ordinary human, far from it. I might have been born in fortunate circumstances, yet the support I received was not so I could live out my life as an everyday person. But here, in this world, I was nothing more than a mortal man who had strayed slightly from his path. Which is why I held Tokyo Babel so dear, loved it with all my heart and soul, and laid down my very life to save it. That was the conclusion I arrived at, the way I still live my life, even now. Once put into words, my life was actually a fairly brief affair. Raziel parted her lips to say something, but no words came. This must have been too much for you to take in all at once. She nodded, averting her gaze from mine, then returning it after a few moments. For a brief period of time, she gazed deep into my eyes.
I'm fine.
The fact I caught no glimpse of any disgust on her face filled me with inexplicable relief. I harbored feelings of friendship, or possibly something more, towards Raziel. If asked whether there existed a feeling between friendship and love, I would no doubt produce a confused smile. I had no idea, nor had I ever felt something this ambiguous. But this much I could say with certainty. I did enjoy the company of Lilith, Sorami, Camiel, and Belial. Whatever I harbored towards Raziel was something ever so slightly different, though. As such, when I saw her expression lacking any hint of disgust, I felt overcome by relief.
Setsuna, are you?
Raziel seemed hesitant to ask a question, but ultimately did so anyway.
Are you human?
I gazed up the ceiling, and my eyes wandered across this wooden texture. Hard to say. I do wish to live as a human, that much I know.
You wish to live as one?
Yes, you see, I only have a few more years to live. I just revealed something of critical importance.
What?
Raziel stared back at me, completely dumbfounded. I'm someone who lives in that moment, a transient being. Naturally, was I ever meant to simply just die, all my memories would have been implanted to the next unit, the next Tendo Setsuna, extending my life. My life is tremendously condensed compared to that of a normal human. A body that normally lived for about 80 years would be discarded in only 4. Only my so-called soul, or something resembling it, would be carried onto the next host. Such a method would have granted me eternal life, would continue to live on as a makeshift god to the end of time.
So, does that mean...
I meant exactly what she thought. Everything I did now is so I could accomplish as much as possible before being discarded. Lilith sent me onto the battlefield in full knowledge of this, and I continued to fight, intoxicated by that thought. Such was the nature of our contract.
Setsuna, are you truly content with this? Isn't this just too...
And be granted neither reward nor redemption. That's what she was trying to tell me. I am. There's no higher honor I can think of. After all, I can be of help to someone, to the entire world. Is there any mission more worthy of being celebrated? That alone would be a reward in itself, despite shouldering an irredeemable sin, be able to save others. I no longer desire to become a god. The role is entirely too overwhelming. Am I human, though? Or something else? Just as angels and demons could never become humans, I, who existed as a being not entirely human, would be denied that possibility as well. Are the feelings and thoughts I harbor not those of a human? Raziel, what you asked me just now is something that's been weighing heavy in my mind for the longest time. Was I human? Or something else? The more I dwelled on it, the farther I drifted from the conclusion. As I found myself caught in an endless loop of thoughts, Raziel suddenly embraced my head. Huh?
It's so warm.
Are you? She whispered gently into my ears.
Setsuna, I'm an angel, and a fairly naive one at that, so my answer may not be the best one there is. Are you okay with that?
I'm certain your answer is the right one.
Setsuna, you're who you want to be. Human, non-human, angel, or demon, I believe you could become whatever your heart desired.
Despite her hesitation, there was genuine earnestness reflected in the angel's gaze.
And no matter who you become, in the end you'll still be you. You'll always be Setsuna, nothing more and nothing less. I'm starting to lose track of my own train of thought.
It's fine. I more or less understood what you meant. In short, I couldn't exist as me, if I was a machine or a cyborg or whatever else. The question of whether or not I could become who I wanted to be filled me with uncertainty, but I knew I could at least attempt to approach that ideal. Sorami would no doubt say something along the lines of, Sorry.
First, worry later.
She would flash that usual dazzling smile of hers. 2. Wait. What's with the sudden pain in my arm? Glanced at my side, taking note of Raziel's visibly sulky mood.
You were imagining something weird, weren't you?
No, not particularly. Her expression grew even more grim. Could practically make out the fire in her eyes.
No, you were! I'm sure you were!
I wasn't. I only imagine what it would be like if Sorami was here. Ow! That hurt! How peculiar. I felt my arm being forcefully pinched by her nails, yet the sensation ended up more ticklish than anything.
And why, if I may ask, would you think about Sorami at a time like this? Why?
You see,
Tell me why!
Raziel's pressing tone left me somewhat flustered. In any case, after an apology, I explained the situation to her.
Did you know angels, and not just Raziel, are surprisingly envious by nature?
Lilith spoke with a soothing tone of female presenter during a government broadcast. Wish she could have told me that earlier, though. Much earlier. Once I ascertained that Raziel was no longer angry, I decided to speak up. Should we keep moving, then? Raziel nodded. She seemed to be back to her usual cheery self. I sighed with relief. Immediately thought myself somewhat pathetic for that. We left the sushi shop and returned to the streets. The gate data for the 6th stratum would have to be somewhere in the vicinity. Finding that was her first order of business. Raziel halted her steps, sniffing the air while covering her nose in disgust.
What is the smell?
I immediately noticed it myself. The stench of rotten food. The fish have all gone bad. With a disgusted grimace, I picked up a rod and poked one of a nearby fish. Accompanied by a slimy sound, its abdomen melted away. A yellowish liquid gushed forth from the fish, revealing its decomposed interior. No doubt about it, had rotten away.
But these were all fresh until a short while ago.
By no way knowing how time flowed in this world, it's entirely possible time had been stopped until we arrived here. But these fish certainly are fresh until a while ago. Fish were quick to spoil, but not this quick. This realization presented 2 clear points of danger. First, if we continue to inhale this air, heavy with the stench of rotten fish, it could make us sick. This place had thousands upon thousands of fish. Having all of them spoil at the same time would produce an air that might as well be toxic. Still, that itself was hardly a monumental problem. Could easily burn the fish with fire or use the wind to clear the miasma. Either way, it wasn't a problem we couldn't solve. The real issue was the second problem. These fish were not rotten until a while ago, that much is fact. Their stench is near unbearable now compared to how they used to be. Yet here they were now, rotting away, in which case, the chances of an enemy ambush were exceedingly high.
Setsuna, prepare for combat.
Raziel knew what she was doing, wasting no time readying herself for combat. I was also about to brandish the Piketty sword, and recalled the fact that I had lost it. Well, no matter. Raziel don't need it. Couldn't I have that sword from before?
Sure.
Raziel pulled out the sword from her pocket dimension, then handed it to me. Gave it a slight swing. I had detected no visible problems. The blade was strong yet light. Though it didn't quite measure up to the Piketty sword, I could tell it held much more than enough magical power for it to be viable for regular combat.
It doesn't come imbued with any special properties, but at least it should be easy to handle.
According to my assumption, making a catalyst out of the sword and imbuing it with magic would be able to greatly amplify its prowess and consequently expand my combat options as well. Thank you. We should assume the same positions we did during the fight with Uriel. I'll take the lead while you watch my back.
Understood. And be careful.
Something burst out from the abdomen of the rotten fish. A snake. I evaded the animal's lunge and sliced its head off in one swing. As it convulsed on the floor, I took a note of how big it actually was.
A rattlesnake?
Not the only one either. But watching Terra's countless snakes all burst out from inside the abdomen of the fish. It's a repulsive sight, no question about it. Aside from being poisonous in nature, all the snakes displayed clear hostility towards us.
Setsuna, can you produce antibodies to combat their venom?
I nodded. My body was meant to be kept alive for eternity. I could easily combat the venom of any snake that lived on Earth. Whether or not these snakes were like that was another matter entirely.
Glad to hear that. On the other hand, I may, in fact, have a weakness to snake venom myself.
How come?
I am the head of the thrones, and above the thrones is the hierarchy of the Sephiroths, who are also referred to as winged serpents of fire.
I did recall that one story about God sending fiery serpents to punish the people of Moses for complaining.
So, someone like me, who acts as an intermediary, well, I'm not very good with snakes. I had never touched one, nor have I ever been bitten.
I was going to suggest an angel would surely be fine in such a case, but the snakes in the stratum were certainly no ordinary specimens. Very well, I'll make sure to keep you safe.
Thank you. I wanted to hear you say that.
Following Raziel's words of gratitude, she mouthed another phrase under her breath. One I couldn't quite make out due to having most of my attention focused on the snakes. Must have not been anything important. Alright, first off, I'll take to the skies. The moment I pushed myself away from the ground, the snakes lunged after me, pursued all at once. Once I gathered them all in one place, it was time to burn them to ashes. Hiro Kakasuchi, God of Flames! Having imbued Raziel's blade with the fire birthed by my nano machines, I poured even more magic into the steel before releasing it all. Every single serpent left my way burned to cinders in the blink of an eye, as the smell of their scorched flesh mingled with the stench of decay, paralyzing my sense of smell.
Property, a pension, Earth, level 2.
Once the scattered flames came in contact with the ground, they began to burn with renewed ferocity.
I took the concept of consolidation from the Earth and added it to the fire. Once the snakes touch the flames, they will continue to burn until their demise. Well, it might be a bit too brutal, but let's hope they make it to Nirvana in one piece.
Just as Raziel predicted, all the snakes met the end amidst the flames, the moment they leapt into the fire. On the other hand, was an angel really supposed to say something like, Nirvana? Good, we should get out of here while... Impossible. The snakes are still on fire, leapt towards us in pursuit. They gave a mouth spout of darkness liquid in my direction. I blocked it with my right arm, but the moment I did, the liquid began eating away at my clothes. Spun to the left, delivering a roundhouse kick followed by a quick splash. Another blunt strike with a pommel of my sword. Unable to withstand my fierce strike, the snake fell onto the ground, came lunging back at me within seconds. There's no end to the numbers, nor could I locate the culprit who had summoned them. I blasted a hole in the ceiling and scored outside, heading towards the clouds. The skies that were vivid and blue a short while ago had turned...
Unbelievable!
a grim shade of gray.
A master must have begun encroaching the stratum. That would explain the sudden change in scenery. We have to find and defeat them as soon as possible.
I suppose this is the time to be looking for an exit.
Exactly. Once we defeat whoever took over the stratum...
Oh. Terrifying gurgle of bees, resembling the desperate cries of a newborn child, resounded in the air. Who's there? Innocent-looking young girl revealed herself to us. She rode atop a colossal basilisk, her eyes glimmering with curiosity. You're Samuel.
Hello, and welcome to the fifth stratum. Our very own death market. For all living things to kill. Getting all of the monsters to survive. Come on, little Raziel. Fly. Run for your life.
If you truly mean to let us escape, I shall not object.
Ready for some bad news then. Raziel's an old friend, so I'm willing to help her out. You, on the other hand, have no use for fools like you.
Samuel may have been all smiles, but her thirst for blood was near palpable in the air. Did she really help Raziel, though? I would love to believe her, but this was Samuel, after all. The Crimson Serpent who tempted Adam and Eve with the fruit of knowledge and led to the exile from paradise, a fallen angel rivaling Lucifer himself in power. Would someone like that willingly help Raziel, simply because two of them were once brethren? Impossible. Perhaps Samuel had a reason that prevented her from killing Raziel, but not me. Something she had, but I didn't. An easy to comprehend difference between the two of us, other than one of us being a mortal man, the other an angel.
Oh, what now?
The safer Raziel. Samuel froze in place the moment I uttered the words. She shrugged, wondering if she had said a bit too much.
Yeah, you're right. That's what I want, you see. I'd like to have Raziel decrypt it for me.
Decrypt it?
Yep. I mean, I can't read that thing. You wrote it using an encryption method only you understand.
Samuel admitted she could only read a portion of it. However, the bits that interested her the most were the ones where the encryption was the hardest to unravel.
I see how it is. You had no memories at the time you wrote it, right? Don't you worry, though. I'm gonna make you remember. And I have to do it by force.
Even Samuel did help Raziel, but it was hardly her ultimate goal. Not like I expected anything good from her. Samuel, what's written to say for Raziel? The fallen angel let me giggle.
Maybe a fallen angel and an ally to mankind. Don't expect me to spill all the beans. Besides, one could say you were distant relative of that monster.
That monster?
You're supposed to be God, no?
No.
Okay then, let me correct myself. No cheap imitation of that thing. Duckbot, the false god.
Samuel's word prodded something deep within me, biting into my lip. I averted my gaze. I could not revoke her.
Setsuna, look straight ahead.
But with that brief instruction, Raziel ended up taking my hand in hers. I feel it tremble.
So you're not gonna come along nicely?
Of course not. Samuel, there's something I should have told you back when we were both angels.
As Samuel cocked her head in surprise, Raziel glared deep into the fallen angel's eyes.
I despise you.
Samuel clapped her hands together.
I see. Guess there's not much else to discuss. And this place is a vacant stratum. It once belonged to Beelzebub and his followers, but since perished in Pandora. It's a tiny problem, though. The way back to Pandora was destroyed. In other words, you had no choice but to keep going.
By defeating you in the process. Samuel's eyes twitched for a moment, having no doubt by my bold act of provocation, highly insulting, provocation. She seemed to try to be easily angered, unable to hide her feelings, almost like a child.
Defeat? Like defeat me? The hell? And here I was, willing to even let you go. You obediently handed Raziel over.
Don't be ridiculous. You're as cowardly as you're cruel. You never have allowed me to leave this place alive. Samuel flashed a wolfish grin at my words.
bad about being a coward?
Nothing. It's a terrifying trait to have. Cowardice meant that the person in question was exceedingly vigilant and able to sense danger far ahead of others. Being a coward can certainly help one achieve victory.
My cowardice is all part of my strategy. Tear you to pieces, take off with Raziel and have her brainwashed for my purposes. Now that's one plan I can get behind. Let's do it!
She uttered the words with the innocence of a child, then proceeded to pat her basilisk on the head.
Come on, Misky. It's your turn to shine.
The basilisk's eyes flashed bright as it let out a tremendous bellow. I immediately ran a search in my backup data for the anti-petrification vaccine, began synthesizing it right away. Surprised that his petrifying gaze proved ineffective against me, the basilisk took a step backwards. Brandishing my sword, I lunged straight at the monstrosity. Samael bolted off the back of her basilisk, indicating that she would only observe the fight from the sidelines. Having struck off his initial surprise, the basilisk stepped forward, his cheeks swelling large as he spat out a dose of purple-colored venom. I lunged out of the way, evading the attack. The ground began to immediately melt and corrode away the moment it came in contact with the venomous liquid. The foul-smelling white gas it produced irritated my eyes, yet I could still see something shift beyond the smoky veil. Thrust my hand into the ground, tearing out to be used like a shield as the irritating sizzle of corrosion filled my ears. I then sent my shield flying with a kick before it could completely melt away, successfully smashing the large piece of asphalt into the basilisk's head. As the basilisk let out an ear-piercing shriek, I ran up the wall and pushed myself away, swiftly laying behind the monster. The beast's head flared abruptly from left to right, searching for its prey. Over here. Guided by my voice, the basilisk turned its head in my direction, only to have my steel, imbued with the magical property of air, bite clean into its eyes. The monster bellowed again, the very air trembling at its cries.
Shut up!
Raziel shot a pillar of water into the oversized lizard's throat, seemingly irritated by ceaseless bellowing. It let a sound akin to a frog being squashed. I wasted no time in drawing closer to it, by slicing its head clean off with a swing of Raziel's sword. With its petrifying gaze rendered useless, the basilisk was no more than a lizard, spewing venom, hardly an opponent that would pose any threat.
Holy cow! You offed him in less than 10 minutes!
Decapitated basilisk Maanime Samael, still convulsing in death. Without showing any particular concern for the beast, Samael kicked it aside with tremendous force.
You don't need me, pet.
The basilisk crushed into a nearby concrete wall, splattering its venomous blood all over the place. Done now, Samael? The fallen angel knit her brows at my provocative tone.
Be all casual with me. It makes me feel like there's a bunch of cockroaches crawling all over my face. I'm sick now. Maybe I should peel off all the skin from that pretty little face of yours.
I ignore her attempt at grotesque intimidation. That could be the last manifestation of her explosive bloodlust. At the end of the day, I meant precious little. Which is why I could respond the way I did. Samael is all I could muster. You're nothing more than a small fry. I top it off with a mocking smile.
How dare you! How dare you!
Samael pulled out her death scythe, a terrifying weapon with a sculpture of a twin-headed snake coiling about his handle, despite the scythe appearing too large for someone of Samael's stature. This fallen angel wielded with unmatched skill. Samael's rugged breathing gradually softened, then stopped altogether. And then, her gaze found mine. The very air around us chilled. The prior fury is nowhere to be seen now. A single glance she threw at the nearby flames, the very same one I used against her serpents, extinguished them in an instant.
You've been a very bad boy, Tendu Setsuna, and you need to be punished.
Her tone now lacked its previous fury, contempt, and playfulness. Instead, ran as clear and collected declaration of war. in order to discover beings, that is, demons and angels or humans, raison d'etre, one had to carefully observe how they acted under given circumstances. Their mental state, personality, and motivations determined the form their weapons would take. Abdiel used the manifestation of rejection, while Uriel did the same with his righteous fury. First I thought her hot-blooded, short-tempered, seemingly cunning yet ultimately simple, but that was only what she showed on the surface. Samiel disguised herself with countless different masks. The innocent maiden, the short-tempered vixen, and the cold, level-headed hunter I faced now. That must have been her true face, or perhaps she was all three at once. Samuel's sharp hiss of a battle cry momentarily drowned out all sound in the vicinity. Her shape grew hazy, vanishing from sight. I searched the flow of magic, detected activity to the right. As I spun around to slash at her, Samuel deflected my blow with a single strike, and proceeded to instantly send me flying with a bash of her sight's steel handle. At that sight, tore into the ground like a hot knife through butter in an attempt to deliver a slash towards my face. To evade a few slashes, the slight inevitably bit into my cheek, sending a violent spurt of fresh blood from the veins severed. I sent a now machines to work, coagulating blood vessels around the vein, consequently halting the bleeding. I swiped off the remaining blood from my palm, poured magic into the scented blood drops flying towards Samuel. The frozen drops of blood, now imbued with magic, possessed the same strength as the blade of steel. The crimson projectiles grazed Samuel in the cheek. I sped through the air, using the moment to flee with Samuel's hot on my heels. Raziel, in the meantime, positioned herself behind the both of us. In other words, the enemies was now exposing her back to Raziel. We don't even need to make eye contact and communicate through telepathy. Raziel knew what to do.
Property, a pension, throne.
She summoned numerous wooden wheels clad in fire, sent them after Samuel. Not even gracing the wheels with a single glance, Samuel simply looked into my eyes, flashing a wicked smile.
Trying to backstab an unaware foe? Versus little angels quite freezing, don't you think?
She then swung one arm backwards, instantly annihilating one of the pursuing wheels. But that alone wasn't enough. She also lodged a blade of her scythe between the other wheel's spokes in order to hurl it my way. The flaming wheel bore the name of Throne, its magical prowess exceeding that of Belial's fire pillars. If we consider only the amount of magical energy released in this one particular attack here, it certainly was superior to Belial's. In other words, if I let it hit me, it was as good as dead, reduced to burning cinders. I wasted not a split second to come to a decision. Got a bite. Touch a coward, whoa! But first tap into my power created through science, then amplify it with magic. Need to calculate right, wait for the right time, and strike! Samuel followed the wheel's trajectory with her gaze as it was blown violently into the air. Spawning bits and pieces of torn off asphalt in my vicinity. I delivered a kick to send him flying, crashing straight into Samuel's face. Samuel brandished her scythe in defense, responded to by unleashed air magic to rod the vicinity of the sound. This slipped past the fallen angel's raging typhoon of slashes. Got you! Samuel's lips contorted into a sneer. Her tiny feminine feet crashed into my abdomen with vicious ferocity. Samuel's kick was powerful enough to completely ignore the magical defenses I erected. Unable to withstand an attack, I tumbled limp onto the ground. A few consecutive slashes from her scythe chopped the airborne wheels into tiny pieces, which then proceeded to rain down upon us like tiny meteorites. Gah! The crimson petals of fire dispersed as they met with our bodies. My distance from Samuel was less than 30 centimeters at this point.
When serpents of bronze and fire!
As Raziel attempted to hurry my way, Samuel summoned two massive snakes, one clad in flames, the other in bronze. One was the fiery serpent God sent to the people of Moses to punish them for idleness, but the bronze snake came to be in order to stand up against it.